council meeting of March 28th to order. It is now 6 o'clock. Mr. Marty Trahan is going to lead us in the prayer.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day you have given us to do your business as we go about. Dear Lord, give us open minds as we do the business of the parish, dear Lord. Protect our army and navy, dear Lord, as they around the world to keep peace, dear Lord. Dear Lord, just give us traveling grace as we go through the week, dear Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Mr. Gonsalves?
Remember, please face the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Tommy Collins.
Here.
Michael Landry.
Here.
Tommy Landry.
Here.
Lloyd Brown.
Here.
Warren Gottschalk.
Here.
Yanni Broussard. Paul Landry.
Here.
Ricky Gonsalas.
Here.
Bill Dugas.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Bernard Francis. Marty Trahan.
Here.
Chad Montclair.
Here. Why we change, please?
We have a quorum. Ms. Broussard is out of the country right now, and Mr. Berwick Francis called me. He has a death in the family, so he won't be here today. I need a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Gonsalves, a second by Mr. Brown. Roll call. How about this little thing right there? Thank you. Michael? Yeah. A motion passes. Item number 1, comments from the general public on non-agenda items. Do you have any? Okay. And we have nobody that's applied.
For the non-agenda items. Shall be the second one.
He'll be on the second line. Item number 2, persons from the general public on agenda items. A, persons being considered for appointment to parish boards, commissions to address the council. Mrs. Simmons, would you take the podium and state your name?
Good evening. My name is John Simmons, requesting appointment to the Iberia Parish Mosquito Abatement District Board of Commissioners for an additional 3-year term. Work out on Avery Island as a manager of agriculture and representing that part of the parish in my duties on the Mosquito Abatement District.
Good, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for stepping up.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have a motion and a second to go back into regular session. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalves, a second by Mr. Brown. Roll call. Mr. Trahan? Oh. Can you override it? Joel? Well, that motion passes.
Which one am I?
You're on Mr. Francis right now. There we go. That motion passes. Okay, reports, finance, and administration, we have none. Reports, parish and other government agencies, we have none. Public Works reports, the Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated March 5th to 9th and 12th to 16th, 2018. Public Works Department report for open work orders dated March 20th would have been in your packet. Special business, a public meeting to be held on May 9th, 2018 to adopt the ordinances authorizing the levy of various millages for the year 2018. Do we,
No, it's just a notice.
we just stating it? Okay, move on.
Out of committee to publication tonight.
No action. It's just an announcement.
Okay, next item is council member announcements. Anybody has any announcements? Mr. Gashison?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to take an opportunity right now to congratulate our colleague, Mr. Marty Trahan, on becoming a grandfather. Congratulations, Mr. Trahan.
Michael Landry.
I want to just pass on the Knights of St. Peter Claver. We'll have an Easter egg hunt this Saturday at St. Edward's Catholic Church. Any council members or anybody want to come, they're welcome. Want to bring any kids, they also welcome. Also, I want to pass on, I guess I was privileged to go meet with the governor last week, talk about the wildlife and fisheries. And I want to congratulate the council members who went, Warren, Paul, Natalie, myself, Larry also, and also Mike Tarantino of IDF. We did a very good presentation, and the governor sat down there and listened to us. And evidently, we made some type of difference because they're rethinking it. But I also want to look at that we need to remember the businesses we have here that's in this parish right now. We have lost a lot to our bigger brother on the northeast. I'm not going to mention their names. And also the new businesses. Let's push our diversity and what we got to offer and make as good a presentation as we made to the governor, because I think we all did well. And I'm very proud of going and very proud of everybody who came. You know, Warren was quiet that night. But thank y'all. That's it.
Mr. Olivier.
Thank you, Paul. I'd like to take this opportunity to report on the 2018 Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C., which I attended earlier this month. My day began on a Saturday with at 8 o'clock in the morning. Transportation Policy Steering Committee was my main focus. I attended several subcommittee meetings early this day and then finished by participating in passing 3 transportation resolutions, which is followed. Number 1, a proposed resolution urging federal policymakers to include support for the transit option in any upcoming infrastructure package and the list of expanded legislative principles. 2, proposed regulations urging Congress to amend the electronic logging device, ELD, and hours of service, final rules to provide any agriculture exemptions. And 3, support increased consideration on alternative congressional mitigation measures. My final days, the resolution can be found online, by the way, at the NACO website if y'all want to review these resolutions. Later that day, we had the opportunity to listen to several guest speakers. John L. McKay, former member of Congress, chairman of the House of Transportation and Infrastructure, spoke to us. Anthony Bedell, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Internal Governmental Affairs, United States Department of Transportation. The following day, I attended several Gulf state countries and caucus meetings, Rural Action Caucus meetings, Veteran and Military Service Committee meetings, NAPCO meetings, South Region Caucus meeting, the General Session, Disaster Response and Recovery meetings, attendee luncheons, the Opioid Crisis Litigation Workshop, 2 Capitol Hill visits, and opportunity to listen to guest speakers such as retired General Stan McChrystal, FEMA Administrator William Brock Long, United States Secretary of Commerce Wilbert Ross, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, Tim Scott of South Carolina, U.S. Secretary of Veteran Affairs David Skulkins, Emily L. Child, United States Secretary of Transportation, Ryan Zinkin, U.S. Treasurer of the Interior, and many members of NACO Executive Committee, including NACO President Roy Charles Brooks. Louisiana did have a good representation at the conference. Most important, the fellowship with each other, especially with people from around the country. I was surprised to learn that across the country, our problems are pretty much the same. It's the bottom line is talking to people across the country, we share many of the same problems in our local government. Listening and sharing these things will do what we do in our parish and what they do in their countries. Help me understand where we are. We are not alone. The end goal is always the same. It is how we get there is where we struggle. Thanks for your time, Paul.
Thank you. Mr. Gonsalam.
Yeah, I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Gashasan for being honored tomorrow night for one of the under 40, top 20 in the local area. Congratulations, job well done, but don't let it go to your head. You're still young, still got a lot to learn. But we truly appreciate what you're doing, and congratulations.
I'm proud of you, Warren.
And also, and also, I guess, Mr. Richard, you're gonna mention the RV park, the Bayou Bash. Okay, I think this weekend is the initial series for the. I'm saying it right, Mr. Richard. Bayou Bash, is it Beats on the Bayou or something? Yeah, they're having bands at the RV park, and it's open to the public. And I think it's a really good band this weekend, so they're trying to generate some interest and encourage you guys to go out and support it.
Hey, have anybody else want to make any comments? I'm going to go ahead and say, I guess one of the biggest words that's been on my mind about all this week is transparency. Last week was kind of a tough week. We started out Monday where we had the meeting with the Wildlife and Fishery. Tuesday morning, a good friend of mine, John Raines, passed away. And then on Thursday, we made the trip. That kind of turned good. I felt good about that one. When I've been knowing John about 25 years. When I first met John over here, it was in this chambers about 8 years ago when I started following the council. And my words to John is, John, what are you doing over here with all these country bumpkins? I felt it then, and I felt it after the last administration. Speaking to some government people once I took the chair, I kind of wanted to get some ideas of things that, how to handle things and do things. And the one thing one of the individuals told me is that we have other parishes that are watching us. They know we're not the same parish. The way we came together last week, and they write, Warren got us on the ball. Warren led us off. The administration then jumped and took the lead and led us to a meeting. We had the port, IDF, community college, local citizens, Pat Caffrey, and a number of people. Well, I think it's time for the citizens to know that it's over. We're here. Iberia Parish is on the move. We're working with the mayor and the city council, and we're ready to do whatever it takes by doing that mood. It was big shoes to fill following Ricky Gonsalas as chairman and Natalie, but I want y'all to know, guys, I'm very proud to be the chair of y'all, and I'll do anything to help y'all. I'm hoping the citizens out there in camera land see the change and they continue to get on board, because we are going to be moving. And that's it.
Well said. Well said.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Any other councilman? After this, we'll go to parish president's announcements.
Well, the only other thing I'm going to add about John is he was employed with Iberia Parish for 8 years. And he served on the 3 different administrations. He was totally dedicated to Iberia Parish. And he was very, very smart. For those of you who don't know, John was very, very, very intelligent. I learned a lot from John, not only dealing with planning and zoning, but he used to be the CAO for Lafayette Consolidated Government. I don't know if y'all knew that. So he came with a lot of experience. And speaking about planning and zoning, Charlie is actually going to be, for the most part, sitting in most of the days trying to run the operation over there until we hire either someone permanent or someone temporary. Scott works at the Planning and Zoning Department office now, probably 3 days a week. And he's spending, I'm sure, 3 or 4 hours a day there now. So we know that that's a very big position, and we're trying to get the right person there. So we're going to start the interview process in a minute. We already have applications that's coming in that we have been reviewing, and we take that job very, very serious. On Saturday, April the 28th, Iberia Parish government will be holding household waste day again. It'll be located in the same spot in the parking lot right here. April the 28th. It's going to be from 8:30 in the morning to 12:30. I'm going to give y'all more information. 8:30 in the morning to 12:30. And I'll give you more information next month. I was going to talk a bit about the meeting that we had this week, and I'm glad that the council members that attend mentioned the meeting with the Wildlife and Fisheries. They didn't quite mention that that the secretary was there with his attorney, and we got an opportunity to really sit down for a while. This wasn't a meeting like some of the meetings that I attend with the governor, where you go there and you're talking for 5 minutes and 10 minutes. We had a very, very good meeting. And I think the governor was very, very in tune as to what's happening. The one good thing about what's going on right now is that we have 3 parishes involved in what's taking place. And you would think it would be the 2 parishes being St. Landry Parish and Iberia Parish. But Lafayette is very, very involved in this because they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know it was happening themselves as far as their government, local government anyway. So I think we did a very, very good thing. I want to take my hats off to Warren, to all of the council members. This is what teamwork is all about, and I think we're all doing a very, very good job at that. The railroad road bridge is open. That was open on March the 9th. Bull Island Road Bridge was open on the 16th of March. The New Iberia Communications District began their in-house training academy on April the 9th, which is the Public Safety Telecommunicator Training Academy for 7 newly hired New Iberia Police Department dispatchers and 6 newly hired Communications District 911 call takers. The training academy is expected to last about 3 months. And other than that, I was fortunate enough to have a student shadow me from Highland Baptist this Monday. Her name is Lainey Como. And she was with me and Cindy. Cindy, of course, everywhere we went, Cindy was there. But she was here from, I think, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And when she left, I think she was pretty tired because we started a staff meeting with her. And then I had to go to animal control, and then I had to go to the health unit, and then we had to go to planning and zoning. We had to go to Public Works, and she was like, you do all that every day? I'm like, we do more than this, you know. But she got a chance to look at parish government and get some insight as to how parish government work, which was a very good deal. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richard.
Thank you.
Consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption. The first minutes of the February 14, 2018, published March 13, 2018. Summary number 54, introduced by Warren Goshasan, resolution requesting support from Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards and the Iberia Parish Legislative Delegation to consider not closing the Wildlife and Fisheries Office located in Iberia Parish. Summary number 55, introduced by the parish president, a resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. John Raines, Director of Iberia Parish Planning, Permit, and Zoning Department, who passed away on March 20th, 2018. Is there any of these items anyone wants to pull out? Mr. Gonsalam. Mr. Goshasan.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to remove summary number 54 from consent agenda and approve without.
Okay. So we're going to be pulling out summary number 54. Okay. Roll call. That motion passes. Now we go back to item number 54. Mr. Goshasan? Oh, we need a motion by Mr. Goshasan, a second by Mr. Gonsalam. Mr. Goshasan?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I apologize to those here and watching from home about repeating. I thought we would have waited till we got to that, but it's okay. I just want to say thank Mr. Mills and of course our delegation, Mr. Barros and Mr. Miguez. I know they're fighting for us up there, and I'm very appreciative of that. Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to also make a comment that regardless of what happens, if we're successful or not, I think success has been obtained because we've all come together for a common good of our parish. And I think this is the closest we've been in a long time, not just this parish council, but all of our municipalities that have signed up, from the city of New Iberia, Jeanerette, Lowerville. Everyone's come together, and I think this is just a stepping stone for us. And I know our administration is going to be continue to lead us in the right direction. I want to thank the businesses that have contacted me over the weeks. They've been very concerned, and I think they know at the end of the day that we've got their back no matter what happens. This is going to be a very huge economical impact to our districts. I think we count just about $1 million, right, Larry, if I'm right? So, I mean, we're not just fighting strategically where it needs to be located, but we're fighting for the economical reasons to keep our already hurt industry from the oil field that's been impacted. Our businesses are still not fully recovered. So if I can today, ask that unanimous second for this summary, if it's all right with the chairman.
And
That's,
and if I
Mr.
could,
Richard.
I like the fact that council members, all council members take on certain issues and they work them really hard. But Warren did a lot of work, especially when it comes to things like looking at the contract and bringing it to our attention. And it really helped a lot when we was actually talking. We knew what we were talking about because we had the information in front of us. So again, I want to thank all the council, but I really want to thank you, Warren, on this particular issue for doing the amount of work that you did. It made it very easy for us to get with IDF and the port and every organization that we got with.
Mike did an
Because
extremely
we have
good job. Did a very good job.
And the way we did this meeting was a lot different. So I didn't go into the meeting with, actually, I think I met with the governor about 3 minutes before the meeting started to tell him how we was going to present this. But this wasn't a meeting about me going and be the person that's actually talking. What we did is we took the Industrial Development Foundation, which is the foundation that tried to help us with economic development. And I explained to the governor that we was all going to do our part, and I would let Mike actually do the presentation. It worked out very, very good.
He hit it so hard, most of us didn't have to say much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was on point. I think we did a very good job, and I know they're looking, and they moved the date until April the 5th, and until April the 5th, I'll be hounding them, believe me.
I think the most concerning part was when you watched the Appropriations Committee yesterday was that most of the representatives had no idea, even at that point yesterday, that this was going on.
Right.
I think Dustin Miller was real concerned about his district. I mean, and it's, I think that's the biggest thing is, this is not an area where we're locating for because it's going to be in Lafayette, close to the highways. I mean, what happens to all the natural resources that we have here that Lafayette doesn't, or same versus, in Appaloosas. So I just think this has been a big project for us to be able to come together for a common good, and that's the biggest success of this thing that it can be. So I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all the members and the administration.
Mr. Gonsalas?
Just want to echo what Mr. Richard and Warren said, and whatever the outcome is, we're going to have to accept it, and we're all hoping that the outcome is what we choose the outcome to be. But if that shouldn't happen, I think one thing we fail to recognize is that we sent a message to the governor that Iberia Parish is open for business. We have facilities, we have the leadership team in Iberia Parish to move on issues like this, and I think that was an eye-opening experience for the governor. And again, just commend you guys, everybody, not just singling out anybody, that we're working hard as Iberia as a team. And if we don't get this project moved, we're gonna wipe off the sores off our back, and we're gonna go after the next one.
That's right.
And we'll keep on moving. They know we have facilities, and we know we have the energy and the want to work with the state.
You're right. Thank you.
Michael Landry?
Yeah, and when I spoke, I forgot about Senator Fred Mills. We also met with Speaker of the House Taylor and Blake Miguez, and I spoke to Terry today, and they're still working the governor. So he's still working on him. So.
It's very contagious because today I got a phone call from Representative Sam Jones. So this thing is really contagious, believe me.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of people involved with this here. So hopefully something happens from it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Before we vote, I know some of us maybe feel that we're going to wait for the decision. I'm 100% that it's going to go our way. I have no doubt. And now we need to vote on summary number 54. Yes, sir. Tommy? Marty? That motion passes. Ordinances introduced for public hearing and adoption tonight, we have none. On resolutions, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump to number 68. Summary number 68, introduced by Natalie Broussard, District 6, a resolution amending the 2018 general fund budget in the amount of $1,000 to provide a grant for the Books Along the Teche Literary Festival, sponsored by the Iberia Preservation Alliance in Main Street, New Iberia, to be held April 6th to 8th, 2018, all to be funded from the legislative function, travel, and training line item. Note, motion second to suspend the rules will be needed prior to the vote on this item as it was not reviewed by the Finance Committee. I have a motion by Mr. Goshasan and a second by Mr. Dugas.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
you're gonna, I think you need a two-thirds vote to suspend the rules because this is a standing rule.
Mhm. Okay. Any discussion on? Okay, this is the motion for the suspension. Okay, did we talk about it? Roll call.
Standing order.
That motion fails to suspend the rules. So that one dies. Okay, so that motion dies. We'll go back to summary number 56, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution appointing Mr. Ivy Romero as a member of the Iberia Parish Fire Protection District Number 1 for a 4-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Mr. Ivy Romero, whose terms expired on June 2nd, 2018. Before we go any further, is Mr. Ivy Romero here? Okay, I need you to come up and speak, state your name. I'm going to let him speak first.
I'm Ivy Romero. I've been with the fire board since November 2014, and I currently work for the Iberia Sheriff's Office. Been there since 2003, and I currently run the traffic division.
Okay, and you'll be starting the next term. Any questions for Mr. Romero? Okay, I need a motion. I have a motion by Tommy Landry, a second by Mr. Olivier. Mr. Landry? Roll call. That motion passes.
Thank you.
Summary number 57, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution appointing Mr. Kerry James Remember as a member of the Iberia Parish Fire Protection District Number 1 for a 4-year term to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of a term for Mr. Kerry James Romero, whose terms expired on June 12, 2018. Roll call, motion by Mr. Goshasan, a second by Tommy Landry. Mr. Goshasan?
Mr. Chairman, did he speak before the council?
Yeah,
Yep.
on February, I think it was 14th. Okay. So we have a motion by Tommy Landry and a second by Mr. Gonsalas. Mr. Landry? Mr. Gonsalas?
Good.
Roll call. That motion passes. Summary number 58, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution appointing Dr. Tony Gonsalas as a member of the Iberia Parish Fire Protection District Number 1 for a 4-year term to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of term for Dr. Tony Gonsalas, whose term expires on June 13, 2018. Have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Mr. Tommy Landry. Mr. Gonsalas?
I waive.
Mr. Landry? Roll call. Mr. Napier? Ricky?
I thought I did, I'm sorry.
That motion passes. Summary number 59, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution appointing Mr. John Simmons as a member of the Iberia Parish Mosquito Abatement District, representing the agricultural community for a 3-year term to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of a term of Mr. John Simmons, whose term expires on June 26, 2018. Have a motion by Mr. Trahan, a second by Mr. Olivier. Mr. Trahan? Mr. Olivier? Roll call. Mike? That motion passes. Summary number 60, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution appointing Mr. Jude Hebert as a member of the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission for a 5-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Mr. Jude Hebert, whose term expires June 26, 2018. I have a motion by Mr. Napier, a second by Mr. Gonsalves. Mr. Napier?
Fine fella right here, y'all. We need to put him back on. Judy.
Mr. Gonsalves?
I have to echo Mr. Napier's statement. Every time you call Mr. Hebert, he returns your call, so he's always available.
Any other discussion? Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 61, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution appointing Ms. Patricia Ann Reinhardt as a member of the Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission for the remainder of a 5-year term to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Mrs. Claire Bork, whose term expires September 24, 2020. I have a motion by Tommy Landry, a second by Mr. Olivier. Mr. Landry? Mr. Olivier? Roll call. The motion passes. Summary number 62, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution appointing Mr. John H. Cobbs as a member of the Jeanerette Veterans Memorial Building Number 2 Board for a 5-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of a term for Mr. John H. Cobbs, whose term expires on April 27, 2018. Mr. Cobbs, are you here today?
Yes, I am.
Okay, would you come up to the podium? Hey, Mr. Cobbs.
Good evening. How are you all? I'm here seeking to fill the vacancy that's being created by the expiration of my term, which I was filling in for Comrade Lloyd Fountainette, who passed away. And I would like to keep that position. I've been working on the board for a long time. So
Thank you, Mr. Cobbs. Any questions for Mr. Cobbs? Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Napier, a second by Mr. Olivier. Roll call. Tommy. That motion passes. Summary number 63, introduced by Natalie Broussard, District 6.
You did that.
Nope. A resolution authorizing an additional 1.5 salary increase for a total of 4%, and further amending the 2018 Iberia Parish Drug Court Fund budget in the amount of blank to provide funding for said salary increases for the treatment function to the administrative function, all to be funded through grant funding. Note, per drug court personnel, there are sufficient funds in the budget to fund this increase. Therefore, a resolution should be amended to only authorize the additional salary increase. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalves, a second by Tommy. Mr.
Do
Gonsalves?
we have an amount of the additional salary increase, or are we gonna leave it blank?
Well, what ended up happening is this increase is set by the Louisiana Supreme Court,
This money they collected.
and they send us the money.
Right.
So when we did the raises, we only brought her up to 2.5. So I would.
We still have to either amend the blank, we have to put something or amend it. Oh, now that,
Would you know? Would you?
There is no amount, that's what it's telling you.
Yeah.
It says
Okay.
that it's already in the budget, so you could substitute, I guess, the,
Just say in the blank 1.5%?
no, the blank is for an amount. It already says the
Okay.
1.5.
Okay, and the blank will be filled in at a later date?
No, there's no amount.
there's no amount, it's just an additional salary.
Okay,
increase.
okay,
So I'm good, I'm good.
okay,
Resolution's just
okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Roll call?
You're just amending the language to fit additional salary.
Right.
Correct. The money's paid to us through the Louisiana Supreme Court.
I wish you would've.
Mr. Pollard,
Wish you would've.
that motion passes. Summary number 64, introduced by the Airport Authority, a resolution amending the 2018 Airport Authority Fund Budget in the total amount of $106,316 to provide A, funding in the amount of $30,000 to repair to the Hangar 90 ramp, B, a carryover of previous funding for a tractor in the amount of $60,368, and C, carryover previous funding in the amount of $15,948 for the purchase of a flex wing cutter, all to be funded from the fund balance previous year. I have a motion by Tommy Landry, a second by Mr. Gonsalas. Mr. Landry? Mr. Gonsalas? Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 65, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2018 rabies and 2018 health unit fund budgets in the amount of $81,942 to provide for carryover of previous funding for the improvements of the rabies building. Have a motion by Mr. Brown, a second by Mr. Michael Landry. Mr. Brown?
Do a complete job.
No, sir.
Okay. No, I didn't
Oh,
think
no.
it would.
It's just repairs.
Yeah, okay, good.
Mr. Landry? Tommy? Wait. Okay. Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 66, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2018 Public Building Maintenance Fund budget in the amount of $11,000 to provide for additional funding for the Roy Building renovations project based on quotes received, which exceeded the original budget appropriation of $50,000, all to be funded from the fund balance previous years. Have a motion by Mr. Brown, a second by Mr. Olivier. Mr. Brown? Mr. Olivier? Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 67, introduced by Warren P. Goshasan Jr., District 5, a resolution requesting the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to evaluate the traffic light at Highway 14, which is Center Street, and Highway 329, Avery Island Road, in order to install an additional light specifically at the entrance and exit of T&S Milling. Have a motion by Mr. Goshasan, a second by Mr. Pollard. Mr. Pollard? Roll call.
Second.
Tommy? Eugene? And motion passes. And we have
No warrant, second by me to adjourn.
to adjourn. You want to just roll right into the committee? Okay. If everybody holds on, we're just going to roll right into committee.